Hey guys, welcome to the mean Streets of Gadgetzan first look at our new cards. Blizzard just announced this expansion in BlizzCon and I'm super excited because, dude, all these cards look like they are pretty damn good. So right now we have no Purifies, no cards that are just kind of like, I don't really want to play these. All these look really good. So let's dive right into it and give our initial impression on each of these cards. Okay, so first of all, we have the Hunter Piranha Launcher, yeah? 5 mana weapon, 2/4, so 2 attack, 4 durability, and it says whenever your hero attacks, you summon a 1/1 beast. At first glance, this card kind of looks pretty bad because, you compare it to something like Charged Hammer, right? And Charged Hammer was a 4 mana 2/4 weapon and it wasn't played. Now, why you want to wait till turn 5 to start dealing 2 damage is kind of awkward. So the only way I can see this being played is going face, right? So if you think about this as 5 mana, deal 8 damage to face over 4 turns and summon 4 1/1s, would I still play that card? The answer to that is probably no, because, well, you don't get to play Eagle Horn Bows, right? So the only way I can imagine this actually getting played is, if you equip this and you go face 4 times and you deal 8 damage and you summon 4 1/1s. Like, I don't think you would still play that card because you can't equip a new weapon. You can't equip the best weapon, that's Eagle Horn Bow. And 1/1s are just kind of nothing. So I don't think this card is too good. And I think hunters have like better cards and in their disposal, I guess. Alright. Lotus Assassin is a new rogue card. 5 mana, 5/5 stealth. So basically Stranglethorn Tiger with an extra effect. Whenever this minion kills an enemy, you gain stealth. So that is pretty damn good because not only are you just playing Stranglethorn Tiger, which hunters still play, right? This is a rogue card. So you just want to go face when you play these kind of cards, right? You can also trade a minion and still keep it stealth, right? Imagine this killing Alkanite Soul Priest and it remains like a 5/2 stealth. Like that's very, very relevant. So I think it's a very good arena card. Although in constructed, I feel like it's pretty hard to make this card work. One of the main problems is that, there are better cards. First of all, like the Pillager. Pillager is already a 4 mana 5/4 that gets you a coin, and this is a 5 mana 5/5 that you kind of valued into trading. So I'm not really too crazy about this card in Rogue. Because, either you play Miracle or you play the Death Rattle Rogue right now, and this doesn't really fit into either of those. So I'd say that this is kind of like not too insane in constructed. Arena, pretty good. Oh my goodness! Priest got Cabal Talon Priest. 3 mana 3/4. Okay, let's just say 3 mana 3/4 is good already. Okay, it's like a spider tech. The battle cry is give a friendly minion +3 health? What? Okay, obviously you can't target itself because battle cry you can't target itself, but this is an insane Dark Cultist, no? Because like Dark Cultist was regarded as really good and it's a death rattle effect. Because, if you can play it the turn you get it off, then you just buff your 2-drop and then you trade their 2-drop and then that's insane. But now, this is an actual thing. Priest actually gets a power drop. 3 mana 3/7, here you go. Very relevant late game as well, because you can either play this at turn 3, buff your 2-drop, or you can also play it late game and buff something really, really big, right? So, and all at the price of not paying any stats. It's still a 3 mana 3/4. Are you kidding me? Okay, I'm excited about this card. This card is gonna be really good. I'm still looking for that really busted 2-drop though, because obviously you still want to have a strategy to curve out, right? And this would be the best if you can use it on something that is like a 3/2 that has an effect. Yeah, so excited to see any more 2 mana cards. Cabal Courier is one of the new tri-class cards that you can play in any of the 3 classes. So this is a Mage, Priest, and Warlock card. You can play at either Mage, Priest, or Warlock decks, and that is awesome. Now, why is this card so insane? Because it's a 3 mana 2/2 that discovers a Mage, Priest, or Warlock card regardless of what class you're playing, okay? Are you kidding me? So you're telling me that Priests can start playing Firelands Portals and Warlocks can start playing Mind Control? Like, wow, right? Really, really powerful card. It's a 3 mana 2/2 that draws a card. 2/2 is good, okay? That's really good. So I think this cycle of cards is just insane. Baller. Holy jeez. Very, very good card. We got the Lotus Agents, which is basically the other version of the Cabal Courier for the Lotus guys, which is Druid, Rogue, and Shaman. Okay, so they get instead a 5 mana 5/3 that draws a card. It feels like it's much worse, I guess, but if you compare it to someone like Azdrake, or even compared to Ethereal Conjurer, you know that this effect is like really still really good. So the stat line has to be like very, very low. So 5/3, you know, it's kind of weak, but you would still play it, right? The Conjurer is an insane card. When you see any of these cards, by the way, in Arena, you always pick them. It's just a no-brainer. You always pick these cards. In Constructed, I feel like this is a little bit worse because, you know, Druid, Rogue, and Shaman, they don't really mix too well, and you're also playing a 5 mana 3 health creature. So not as strong as this Cabal Warrior, the Cabal Courier, but you would still play this if you're looking for, you know, an extra oomph. You get what I mean? Like you would still play this. I think you would play this most in Druid. I don't think this would be played in Rogue and Shaman. It's just like, yeah, you don't need it. So the last card in this cycle is called Grime Street Informant, and once again, it's for the Grimy Goons, which are the Hunter, Paladin, Warrior, and you get to, it's a 2 mana 1/1 that draws a card. Okay, now that is the best one. Why? Because 2 mana 1/1 that draws a card is really good. You have 8 mana left to play with any discovered cards that cost 8 mana. You also can play this at turn 2, and it's a 1/1, so it's very relevant. Unfortunately, this 1/1 is actually a Hunter, Paladin, Warrior. Now, why is that so interesting? It's because, well, you can't play this in the ping class, right? Hunter has a hero part that goes face, Paladin has a hero part that makes a 1/1, and Warrior has an armor up. So, like, if this was in Mage or something, it'll be really good, because effectively it could be a 2/1, right? Same thing with Druid, or any class that deals 1 damage. But still, with the stat line, like, the stat line is still the best, because drawing a card for 2 mana is better than drawing a card for 3 mana. So, I see this being played in Paladin Warrior. Not really sure about Hunter, though. Not really sure about that. Because, like, why would you want to see Warrior cards as when you play Hunter? Like, you don't really want to see Brawls and shield slams and stuff like that. So Hunters just want to do their own stuff. So I don't think this is a Hunter card. Paladin Warrior, probably. You can control. Like, the cycle of all these 3 Discover cards is that you want to play more of a control game, right? And Hunters don't really control. They either aggro or mid-range. And that's it. Alright, moving right along, we got the first legendary Kazakus, which is nuts because, first of all, it is a Priest, Warlock, or Mage only card. So you can only play it in those. It's a 4 mana 3/3 battle cry. If your deck is a Highlander deck, you create a custom spell. And the custom spells are pretty damn crazy. You can either discover a 1 mana spell, 5 mana spell, or 10 mana spell. And you discover twice. So, for example, if you make a 10 mana spell, you can get Fel Bloom, which deals 6 damage to all minions. And then you can mix it with Nether Bloom, summon an 8/8 demon. So then you have a card that says 10 mana, 8/8, deal 6 damage to all minions. Okay? That is nuts. That is nuts. Because that's not the only effect, right? You get to actually craft an effect that's tailor-made for you in that specific matchup or in that specific situation, right? So for example, it's turn 10. You can just play Kazakus, discover a 5 mana spell, and just cast a 5 mana spell. Or early game, you can just play Kazakus, 4 mana, discover a 10 cost spell. Or if you really need it, you just discover a 1 cost spell. And did I mention that Kazakus is a 4 mana 3/3? Did I mention that fact? You're not even paying 4 mana to discover your own spell. You're actually getting something out of it. Okay, this card is one of the best cards, right? This is just that's most insane. However, of course, the main problem with this card is that you have to have no duplicates, which means you have to play a Highlander deck. And that is a major drawback because we all know that Highlander decks, like Reno decks, they have to be they have to make it so that it's very consistent. Because you can only put 1 copy of each card. Your opponent is not going to play around anything, okay? Like, they don't care. And either you have it or you don't. And sometimes you don't have the answer to that specific situation. So hopefully the power level of this card is enough to justify getting a Reno deck. But I am super impressed with this card. And The number of iterations for this is insane, yeah? Onwards, we have a warrior card. Says, I know a guy. 1 mana, discover a taunt minion as a spell. Now, this, you might feel like it's pretty normal, like not really that good, but it's actually reasonable. Why? Because 1 mana card draws are always going to be insane, right? Obviously, you can only select from warrior cards because it is a warrior spell and you're playing warrior, unless you get this from somewhere else or whatnot. But the fact that it's so versatile, where you can actually play on turn 1, where warriors usually don't do anything on turn 1 anyways, as a control warrior, right? You want to play this, and if you're against aggro, just pick the 2-drop or pick the 3-drop. Or if you're against a control, pick the biggest card, right? So this is really good, really flexible, something you can do in turn 1, and sometimes, you know, it turns your floating mana anyways. Just cast this. And with Rogue, it's a bit better because you have Auctioneer. But with Warrior, you don't have that. So maybe you can fuel it with Yogg-Saron or something. But 1 mana spells, draw cards are always going to be relevant. We got the big time Racketeer, 6 mana 1/1, Battle Cry, summon a 6/6 Ogre. So you're effectively getting a 1/1 and a 6/6 with this card. It seems like an arena card to me because unless you can abuse this effect in constructed, such as like Bran or something, you're not gonna get too much out of this. Like a 6/6 and a 1/1 is pretty standard. Like it's nothing to be going like crazy like Faceless Summoner. You know, Faceless Summoner is probably a better card than this. So I don't see this being in constructed play. In arena, sure, just pick this. This is good. Like, why not? You get a 6 mana 6/6 and get a free Paladin Hero Power. Just pick it. You know, it's good. Next, we have the second-rate Bruiser. 5 mana 4/5 taunt. It costs 2 less if your opponent has at least 3 minions. So if your opponent has 3 minions or more, it's a 3 mana 4/5 taunt. Taunt minions are always relevant in arena. So like, I think that this is actually one of the better arena cards you can draft. In constructed, I see this very, very hard, very difficult to work because some of the times it just doesn't work, and some of the times, like, against Zoo, you might not even want to play a 3 mana 4/5 taunt, right? The good part about this is that it does have taunt, so even against like control matchups like Warrior or Priest, like 5 mana 4/5 taunt is actually fine. Like it's actually decent. But I don't think that if you can only make a 30 card deck, that you actually include a second-rate Bruiser in your deck. So I don't think this is going to be seeing play in constructed when you build your deck. Okay, the next card is Patches the Pirate. It's a 1 mana 1/1 legendary pirate. We finally have another legendary pirate. And it says, charge, after you play a pirate, you summon this minion from your deck. Okay, so you don't want this ever in your hand, right? You never want to draw this because when you play this, you just want to have a pirate immediately and you get this for free, right? So obviously you want to mulligans every time. You want to play this in a pirate deck as well because you want to get this out of your deck as much as possible. But there's actually a hidden power in this card. When you play this card, you actually make a 29 card Hearthstone deck because you're probably just going to fish this out and summon it with when you play a pirate. And that is really strong, right? If you can play less cards in Hearthstone, you will always choose that option. Because it makes your deck more consistent, you get to draw your strong cards quicker, and that's just the reasoning. So if the pirate deck really is focused on burning, this is probably going to be in the deck. I assume that pirate warrior decks definitely want this card because they can find their Arcanite Reapers that much faster and just face you for 5, right? So that's actually a hidden power in this card. Oh my goodness. Another legendary card spoiled. It's the Druid legendary Kun, the Forgotten King. 10 mana 7/7. Insane effect. Choose one. Gain 10 armor or refresh your mana crystals. Okay, let's talk about the first part first, okay? 10 mana 7/7, gain 10 armor. That is completely fine. Very, very fair card. You really want this when you're facing against aggro, right? I mean, 10 armor is real, and against Freeze Mage, they're gonna be pretty sad when they see this card, right? You've suddenly got 10 armor. And you can also play it anytime you want, because it's armor, it's not actually life. And that's good. Now, the second part is a little bit more crazy, okay? Second part is a little bit more crazy. It could be a 0 mana 7/7. Right? Like, we thought 4 mana 7/7s were a little bit broken. How about a 0 mana 7/7 that, okay, sure, you can only play this at turn 10, but wow, You play this 0 mana 7/7, you get 10 mana left, and you can do anything you want with that. That is a comeback mechanic if I've ever seen one, which is good. I think Hearthstone needs more control cards, and this is a control card, right? I mean, armor or late game push, late game board swing, right? Now, let's think of the combos, yeah? Okay, let's think of the combos, yeah? Combo this with Fandral. You not only get 10 armor, you also get to get all your crystals back. 0 mana 7/7, gain 10 life. That's pretty good. Here's another combo. Aviana. Aviana and play Kun at turn 10. You get your 10 mana back, and then all your minions cost 1. You can just play anything. Okay, just wait for those crazy videos where people just do Miracle Druid with Aviana Kun. Aviana Kun. Now that is a good deck name. So next card we have is the Pint-Sized Potion. Pint-Sized Summoner finally has a potion. And this is a 1 mana priest card. Give all enemy minions -3 attack this turn only. This reminds me of the Druid card, Demoralizing Roar, back in like Alpha, right? It was removed because, you know, minus attack doesn't really make sense. But now it's back and it's in priest, which makes a lot of sense. So the first thing people see when they see this card is that, wow, I can combo this with Shadow Word Horror and actually clear the board, and it's really exciting. Well, for me, I don't think that's actually a very good combo because we already have Alkanized Circle, right? We already have 2 card board clears, and they are not that good. They really aren't that good. So I don't think you should actually use this card this way. Now, what I am looking for is that, what if I can actually use like Shadow Madness or like Cabal Shadow Priest? Like that is actually a very viable way of using this card better. And of course, the main purpose of this card when you can't combo it is that, you know, you play this, you get some very good trades off, and effectively heal all your minions for 3 health, kind of, right? So yeah, this would obviously be in a combo priest deck, and you want to also play stuff like Priest of the Feast because it's a 1 mana priest card, right? 1 mana spells are always relevant no matter what their text is. So let's see what new ways we can abuse this as a priest. Speaking of new ways to abuse that pint-sized potion just now, we got Potion of Madness. Potion Priest is gonna be a thing. So Potion of Madness says, gain control of an enemy minion with 2 or less attack until end of turn. Does that ring a bell? Of course it rings a bell. It's basically Shadow Madness, right? It's a 1 mana Shadow Madness that you can only cast on 1 less attack. So 2 attack or less minions. Now, that is insane. You're getting a 3 mana cost discount for an effect that's only reduced by 33%. So, like, think about it. 75% reduction on mana and 33% less on the effect. That is a net plus, and that is really, really, really good, right? Now, obviously, you want to combo this with some things. The first thing that I can think of is combo this with Youthful Brewmaster, right? Then you can just pick up their minion back. And if you combo this with Pint-Sized Potion, you can pick up whatever 5 attack minion they have, right? Probably better than Shadow Madness, in my opinion, but really hard to see what targets there are until the whole set releases, because you don't know how many good 2 attack minions there are that people are going to play, right? If there are going to be like a new mad scientist, for example, in main Streets of Gadgetzan, then this is going to be a tier 1 card. Like something like Haunted Creeper can also make this card really, really good. I guess one card that we can use it on right now is the Kindly Grandmother from Hunter, right? Kindly Grandmother is the 2 mana 1/1 that summons a 3/2 when it dies. Like, you can just Potion of Madness that and you get a lot of value. So that's really good. And once again, it's a 1 mana spell, okay? Think of the Priest of the Feast. Next card, we have a very weird one. We have a Paladin card called Small Time Recruits. It's a 3 mana, draw 3 cards, but all those 3 cards are 1 cost minions. Now, some of you might look at this and go like, wow, why do I want to place 2 mana 1 cost cards? Because effectively you're paying 1 extra mana for each of the cards you draw, right? I feel like this card has the potential to become one of the most broken cards ever, right? Because any card draw that says draw a specific type of card is very, very good. It's an effect called tutoring in Magic, and when you can tutor for something specific, it's really powerful. How you can abuse this? Well, you're probably going to play this in an aggro deck. And when you run out of steam, you can draw a lot of 1 drop cards, right? What card actually synergizes with 1 cost minions? Isn't there this card called Steward of Darkshire that gives, Divine Shields to all your 1 health minions. 1 cost minions probably have 1 health, so, you know, that's a combo. How about you play it in, like, a Secret Keeper Paladin and just, you know, draw your Secret Keepers and then, you know, just, you know, play a lot of secrets and just smork your opponent. Like, this is a very strong effect, right? And once again, if you don't mind the 1 cost minions, this is a 3 mana Nourish, okay? I am always playing a 3 mana Nourish. This is going to be a good card. There is a new Paladin Legendary called Wicker Flame Burn Bristle. It seems like they found 4 words and then you just put it together. Wicker, Flame, Burn, and Bristle. It's like, okay, cool. It's a 3 mana 2/2 Divine Shield Taunt, so it's basically a Nortron plus 1 attack. But it also has the extra effect of damage dealt by this minion also heals your hero. So it's basically very similar to Mistress of Pain, where it heals you some health. Now, the main problem with this card is that, yeah, when you compare it to the classic Shielded Minibot, or even Silent Knight, right? You feel like that this card is a little bit under budgeted, a little bit, because it just doesn't have the power level. Okay, the saving grace is that all of these effects together make it a good card, right? It has Divine Shield, it has Taunt, and it has Lifelink. So with all these 3 effects, it makes for a very fair 3-drop, I feel like. Like, I feel like this is a fair card, and I feel like that mid-range Paladins are going to have to play this card, right? It's just too good. But, like, it's not super impressive of a legendary that the Paladins have gone before, like Light Rag, like Tyrion. And I think that's fine. I feel like that, you know, Paladins shouldn't have all the exciting stuff. And this is actually fine. I actually want, like, legendaries that cost less, that do more. So I'm okay with this. Here's a Druid card that can turn some eyeballs. We have Pilfered Power, otherwise known as Wild Growth for Growth, Rose. It says 3 mana, gain an empty mana crystal for each friendly minion. Are you joking me? If you ever wanted to play Ramp Druid, this is the chance. Because, like, imagine this situation, right? Living Roots, Pilfered Power. Gain 4 empty mana crystals. Next turn, you have 8 mana, play Rag. Wow, this is like a super ramp. I can't imagine any deck playing 2 of these though, because, well, first of all, you don't want to draw this late game like Wild Growth, right? Because it's just a deck card. Interesting, like, do you guys actually think that Pilfered Power will produce a card draw if you play this on turn 10? Because this card is actually useless at turn 10, right? It might be the same as Wild Growth, where you get the excess mana card when you play this, because if you don't, then this card is actually just trash. You would never want to play this. So yeah, I think that's going to be the case. But anyways, ramping that much is actually really good. Like, if you have a lot of cards that kind of do the same thing, then it makes it more consistent. So now you have Wild Growth, now you have Pilfered Power, you have the Darnassus Aspirant, and you also have Astral Communion. So there could be a deck that's like ramps super insanely high. You just need to solve the problem of actually playing minions. So when you can do that, it could be really good. I think this card is actually fair, but like, it's gonna have to take some work to getting this work to work. So happy brewing, I guess. We have the Draconid Operative for Priest. It's a 5 mana 5/6. Once again, very, very good stat line for a Priest minion. About time, right? Because the Priest cards we had before were like Darkshire Alchemist, undercosted. Everything was undercosted, right? This card is not undercosted. Has another effect though. Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, discover a card in your opponent's deck. Are you kidding me? Did I just see a 5 mana 5/6 that draws a card? And not only does it draw a card, it draws one of your opponent's deck's cards. Are you joking me? Like, that is insane, right? So feel like imagine if you're playing against Control Warrior. You get to pick one of the biggest drops, and you also get to play a 5 mana 5/6. Okay. Imagine if you're playing a Freeze Mage, 5 mana 5/6. Discover an Ice Block? Wow, this card is really, 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 really good. Okay, like insanely good in Dragon Priest, obviously. So in Priest now you have like a lot of 5-drops already. Because if you're playing Dragon Priest, you're probably gonna do Azdrake as well. You're gonna probably do Corruptor as well. And now you add another 5-drop to the list. 6 5-drops is fine. I think that's actually like one of the perfect numbers. And yeah, this is just much better than Shifting Shade. You not only get to discover a card, instead of getting a random card from your opponent's deck, you also get to get it immediately because this is a freaking battle cry. Battle cries are so much better than death rattles, right? So I'd say that this card is like A++. I'm excited to play a Dragon Priest deck. Fel Orc Soulfiend. It's a new neutral card. It's an epic. 3 mana, 3/7. Okay, there must be something bad with this minion, right? Well, it is. It's a 3 mana, 3/7 that at the start of your turn, it actually smorks itself for 2 damage. So it's going to be a 3/5. The next time you can do something with it. And then it's going to be a 3/3. If you trade with it, then maybe it's just a 3 mana, 3/3. So it's a little awkward. I'm not really sure how you can get this to work. Maybe you can get this to work in like a healing strategy. So like you just heal this up. Or you can actually use this in an enraged deck strategy. So something like, use it in warrior to buff your frothings or enable battle rage or something like that. Like it could be good. Or you can also give it taunt. So at the start of your opponent's turn, it's a 3/7. They don't really want to attack into this because it's just going to smork itself and stuff like that. I find it kind of cute that you can actually use silence effects on this and make a 3 mana 3/7. But the draw is not that high. Like, if you have to silence a 3 mana card and just make a 3 mana 3/7, it's not that good. So I feel like this card is okay. I don't think it's insane at any chance. It's like an epic card because it's kind of cute effect. But no, I don't think this is going to be format divining in either constructed or arena. Did someone ask for a new Paladin secret? Because we have now the Getaway Kodo. It's a 1 mana Paladin secret as always. And it says, when a friendly minion dies, return it to your hand. Okay. Let's break it down. First of all, it's a 1 mana draw card. And the card depends on what minions you actually have on the battlefield. Wouldn't that be pretty dumb if you can get away a Tyrion? If you can get away, a mysterious challenger that you used to play, that you used to use to put this secret into play in the first place? Wow. Like, Secret Paladin might be back with this card. This is a really good, very valuable card that doesn't affect the board, unfortunately, but it gives you a lot of value in the turns that are coming, Like, you might not even play Get Down if you want to play Mysterious Challenger because, like, you just get your Mysterious Challenger back and you can thin your deck even more when you play it again. Like, this could be really good. Another good way to play this would be that you play something like just one single minion and your opponent has to deal with it. For example, Emperor Thorson. You play Emperor with this secret in play. What do they do? Do they not kill your Emperor? What do they do? They can't do anything unless they have a polymorph effect. And some classes don't have polymorph effects, right? Like, what about you play with this like Leroy? You charge Leroy in their face. If they kill it, Leroy them again, like what? Right? This card has very, very high potential to be super good. It's a 1 mana draw card, and the card is very specific. Specific card draw is once again really, really good. Next, we have Mean Street Marshal. It's a 1 mana 1/2. Death Rattle, if this minion has 2 or more attack, draw a card. So basically it says it's a 1 mana 1/2 that if you buff this up and it dies, you get to draw a card. Now this is a little bit more awkward because, right, you just want to buff this like naturally, I guess. You don't want to purposely buff this because, well, it doesn't really work that way, right? Like, I see it, the best way to use this is using it with Competitive Spirit or even like Shattered Sun Cleric or something like that. Like, just buff it just enough so that it draws a card and feels you. It is a 1 mana 1/2 though, so it's kind of weak. And it doesn't buff itself like Secret Keeper or Mana Worm or Tunnel Trog, those kind of things. So I don't think it's in that kind of power level. But if you get to buff its attack and you get to get the cycle off, you get to find your True Silvers and your Leroys faster, that might be okay. For example, Abusive would be a good combo of this, although Abusive did get nerfed a bit. But yeah, you just want to buff this naturally and not purposely. Purposely would be like putting Kings on this, putting Seal of Champions on this. Like, that's not a good way to use this card. Direwolf would be a good choice. Now we got Mark of the Lotus. Mark of the Lotus is a new Druid card. It's basically a 1 mana Part of the Wild, but you can only choose to give your minions +1/+1. Now that is a very, very strong effect because if you think about it, you just need to affect 2 minions, and then this card is insane because it's a 1 mana 2/2. If you affect any more cards, that would be even better. Now, you're also playing this card in a deck that's Innervate, okay? Like, let's think about this for a second. Violet Teacher Token Druid is an actual deck, right? Now, you actually get to play Mark of the Lotus for 1 mana. 1 mana. Violet Teacher tokens will definitely be back. And it's 1 mana in a class of Innervate. Okay? No. This card is insane. Next card is the Counterfeit Coin, and I seriously did not want to see this card. It's a rogue card, it's 0 mana, and you know my 0 mana rant. It's a 0 mana, gain 1 mana crystal this turn only. Okay, so let me explain why this card is so busted. Auctioneer. Thank you. No. Okay, diving right more into it. Okay, so coins and spells in rogues are always insane, right? Like, they always want to do miracle stuff, to do Edwin stuff, like... This card just enables them even further, right? Like, just play a few more card draw, because when you play 2 counterfeit coins, you definitely need more card draw. You do not want them in your opening hand, and you can't, like, cycle through your deck, right? But there is a chance where you can just, like, turn 1, coin, Edwin. That's a turn 1 6/6, and say go. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty not interactive. Not a big fan of the card design, but it's going to be a strong card. Manic Gachicaster is a 3 mana 3/4 that says Battlecry, choose a friendly minion and shuffle a copy into your deck. So you add it to your deck without hurting the minion's stats, because it is a 3 mana 3/4 and you're not really paying stats for this, right? It's just a spider tank, like, it's fine. Now, you can abuse this really, really well if you play something that is more of a control-oriented deck, right? Whether it be a Fatigue Mage or Control Mage, where you can shuffle a second copy of, say, Cold Light Oracle, or Reno, or Rag, you know, stuff like that. That's pretty good. And once again, the flexibility of this card comes where that you can actually play this on turn 3 and be happy with it, right? Turn 3, 3/4 is fine. Like, you're not unhappy about that. So I think this card is pretty good, and it will help Control Mage a lot better, actually. Aggro, Tempo Mage are not going to want to play this card, because it's a 3 mana 3/4. It has no text. We don't want to do that. We want to play Flamewaker. Alright, we finally have a Legendary Murloc again! So, like, remember the last Legendary Murloc is actually not playable in Constructed anymore. Old Murkai, so you can't actually play Old Murkai anymore. But now you can actually play Finja, the Flying Star. It's a 5 mana 2/4 Murloc with stealth, and whenever this attacks and kills a minion, you summon 2 Murlocs from your deck immediately, right? You just plop 2 Murlocs, right? Now, it's very difficult to actually have that trigger, right? It's a 2/4 stealth, so you actually have to kill something that's 2 health, or you play War Leader or something and whatnot. And the effect is really good, right? Like, tutoring for 2 cards, for 2 Murlocs, and putting them on the battlefield is definitely going to be good, right? Any Fin Paladin might be looking for this, but my main problem with this card is that it is a 5 mana 2/4. Like, that's the last thing I want to play, 5 mana 2/4, right? I don't care kind of what text it has, unless it's like win the game or something. Like, on top of that, there's an extra condition that this has to attack and kill a minion, right? I can't imagine your opponent going like, oh, my opponent played Finja the Flying Star. Let me press the Paladin Hero Power. Oh, like, if you're playing somebody remotely like clever or something, they're gonna play around this card. So I think this is a bit hard to get to work. Maybe against Zoo matchups is really good because they have to play minions. But there's a lot of matchups that this is gonna be a dead card. So I'm not crazy about this. And also, anything Paladin, you also don't want any Paladins that aren't charged and aren't buffers, right? Because we know that anything combo is playing Bluegill and playing War Leader, right? This actually hurts the combo, because when you anything and summon this back, you lose out on combo potential. Did someone ask for more cards costing less in Druids? Well, now you have Lunar Visions, 5 mana, draw 2 cards. Minions drawn this way cost 2 less. Now, you compare this immediately to Nourish, right? And then you go like, wow, if this actually procs 2 times, it's, well, more like a 1 mana Arcane Intellect, right? Like, I want to play a 1 mana Arcane Intellect rather than 5 mana Nourish. One of the big problems of this card, though, is that it only works on minions, and Druids naturally play spells. I mean, I can't imagine even a minion-based deck not playing Innervate, not playing Swipe. You just have to play these cards. These cards are core cards, right? And when you actually hit one of these cards, that's kind of bad. So it's kind of reminds me of Call Pet, where you get like a big increase in power level if you decide to, if you actually get to draw one of those cards. But at the same time, I don't think this is a control card, because control cards do want to draw 3 from Nourish. Like drawing one more extra card is actually very relevant, because when you're at turn 10, you have 10 mana anyways. You don't need them to cost less anymore. So a very weird card. I'm not really sure I like it. I think this is just fine. All right, next we have the Cookie Chemist. It's just a Crazed Alchemist that has its whole stats twice. So it's a 4-mana 4/4, swap the minion and health of a minion. I don't really see this seeing constructive play, because if you want this sort of minion in the first place, you either play Crazed Alchemist or you either play freaking Confused, okay? Like, you do not want this in Constructed. No. 0 in Constructed. This is in Arena is fine. Like, 4-mana 4/4 is fine. And this effect actually might help destroy totems in Arena. You might actually get a value trade. So this card is good in Arena, but not in Constructed. Oh, it's a male head on a female body. Oh, I see. Okay, I see. That's why it's the Cookie Chemist. Oh, I see. Interesting. Next, we got the Friendly Bartender. It's a Tauren, and he looks pretty friendly. What does he do? 2 mana, 2/3. At the end of your turn, restore 1 health to your hero. So it basically throws your funnel cakes at your face every turn. I think this is fine. I don't think this is insane. Recursion is always good in Hearthstone, such as like, something that always happens, right? Like Demolisher, like could be really good. Like these effects are just really good, like Emperor Thorazon or Ysera, right? With this card, you play this against like an aggro deck, like a Zoo or something. It effectively is a 2 mana 2/3 taunt, so that's kind of cool. Unfortunately, this does not do too well in a lot of matchups, such as like mid-range and control matchups. They don't really do anything because it's just a 2 mana 2/3, right? You rather play some of those new 2 mana cards that draw a card, or you rather play 2 mana cards that have, more stats, such as our friend Totem Golem, 2 mana 3/4s, eat 2/3s for life, right? Like even Pyromancer might have a better effect than this, because it actually is very relevant effect. And restoring 1 health is not that relevant. So I don't think this is too good a constructed card. And if you pick this in Arena, that's fine. It's 2 mana 2/3. Why not? Wow. I look at this card and I go, wow. Light Bomb is finally back, and it might even be better. Look at Dragonfire Potion here. 6 mana priest card. Deal 5 damage to all minions except dragons. That is really, 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 really good. So let's have the comparisons first, right? So first of all, we have Flame Strike that deals 4 damage for a 7 mana. So this is 6 mana, deal 5. Okay, let's compare it to something else. Excavated Evil. Excavated Evil is a 5 mana, deal 3. And sometimes you don't even want to use it. This is a 6 mana, deal 5 across all minions. That is really powerful. I love it. Very good, especially against shamans right now, right? You actually get to wipe their board, because Thing from Below is a 5/5, right? You only don't get to wipe their Thunderblood Valiant because it's 6 health, but I don't care. I'm playing a 6 mana, deal 5 to everything. There's 2 ways to use this, right? One, you use it in a dragon deck. It doesn't even affect your board. It's a 6 mana Flame Strike at that point, because like, who cares? You don't even get to hurt dragons. The second way to use this is to play in a Control Priest, where Control Priest likes to play Excavated Evil anyways, because you don't play a lot of minions, right? Minions usually do trading or whatnot because you want to get to late game and outvalue your opponents. This is completely fine. This card is one of the most hyped Priest cards ever. So I love this card. Priest seems like it's getting a lot of love, but once again, I'm still looking for that 2-drop. I'm still really, really want to see that good 2-drop in Priest before I go any further. But man, they are teasing my Priest itches, Oh, baby. We have a Wind Up Burglebot for 6 mana. It's a neutral mech epic. And it says, whenever this attacks a minion and survives, draw a card. Okay, so wow, that's a lot of work to actually draw a card. And you might not even draw a card, because if your opponent kills it the turn it comes down, you don't actually get to do it. Now, of course, if it draws 1 card, it's okay. 6 mana 5/5 draw a card, and the Adric is probably still better. But now, what happens when you get to draw more than one card, right? When you get to draw more than one card, that's when it starts to become a little bit better. Because, well, 6 mana, 5/5 that draws 2 cards. Does anybody remember Ancient of Lore by any chance? Yeah. So this would be very good in decks that actually trade a lot. But still, I think this is still gonna be bad, right? Right? Because even in the best case situation, right, you're playing a control deck that wants more board control and whatnot. Sylvanas is still a better card. Karen is still a better card. Emperor is still a better card. Like, I don't want to play a conditional card that sometimes works and sometimes just get removed with no effect. So I'm not going to rate this highly in Constructed. In Arena, I actually think this is a fine card, especially in Priest, right? In Priest and Arena, this looks pretty nuts. So, yeah, that's my analysis on this one. Oh! Oh my god! Alright, guys. Zombie Chow version 2 is back. And dare I say, it's actually better than Zombie Chow. This is what control decks needed. Are you kidding me? 1 mana 2/2. Death Rattled. Restore 4 health to both players. Oh my goodness. That is insane. Not only is, okay, so 1 mana 2/2 vanilla card is insane already, right? I mean, Enchanted Raven is kind of like your go-to. But are you kidding me? Restore 4 health to both players. That is a control player's dream, right? You play this, you don't even need to play this on turn 1. You play this on turn 1, you're super happy. 1 mana 2/2. You play this in the middle game, and it restores 4 health and deals 2 damage. Okay, so it's a smite that heals yourself for 4. Like, when you play control, you have to realize that your opponent's health does not matter, right? That is insane. That is insane. Now, it's a neutral card, so not only can you play in Warriors or Paladins or anything, you can play this in Priest. And why is this insane in Priest? Of course, we have all the Arcanine synergy and stuff like that. So, imagine if your opponent is in death range and you want to kill them, like a handlock, for example. Arcanine, Mistress, Circle. Boom, 8 damage to both players. There's your burst. That's what Priests need. Control Priest is not good at bursting down your opponent, right? Here's a card that can help that. You can burst people now. Super good. You're probably not going to use that too often. You're probably just going to use that to heal 4 health in an aggro matchup. But are you kidding me? A 1 mana 2/2 with an upside? I am super happy with this card. Oh, I'm so happy. Dude, okay, that's insane. That is actually insane. Oh my god. That is probably my most excited. This card is the single this card is, I'm gonna have to tweet this. This card is the most exciting card. Oh my god. And Amaz's, and the prize to Amaz's most hype card announced today is this baby. Oh my god, that's a good card. Are you just, wow. No way. This card is insane. 1 mana 2/2. Please make a good 2 mana drop. Oh my god. Oh my god. Priest will be really good if we have a 2 drop. Priest will be so good. I really need a 2 drop. Shielded mini bot level, please. And that concludes our first look at the first cards in the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. Very cool. Love the tri-class mechanic. Love the new cards. Love the new artwork. I'm really excited again. This is a good announcement. I will be brewing some awesome decks when it comes out, and of course, every time new cards come out over this month, because they say that it's going to release early December, we're going to review it, and we're going to let you guys know what I think. And yeah, I think that's it. So see you guys in Gadgetzan.